thanks for watching BSGcast. He's Matt, I'm Nat, and let's get started.
So, this week it was the road less traveled, which, you know, traveling it less doesn't seem to be a bad thing if you listen to you guys, because not everyone's really digging the Demetrius story all around.
Well, but it's a story that needs to be told, and everyone kind of knows where it's
a little
going,
predictable,
but...
and you know what? It kind of feels like eating at the kiddie table. You've got the crazy leader who thinks she knows where she's going because of a vision. This time it's Starbuck instead of being Roslyn. And you've got the do your job guy who this time around is Hilo. So, you know, it does kind of feel like we've tread on this before, but it kind of needs to get done.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's just don't leave anything unsaid.
Pretty much, yeah.
Leave nothing assumed.
Yeah, so before we get too far into the episode, let's give away some Alienware stuff.
So our favorite comment from Escape Velocity was...
Yeah, you know, there were some good ones. Liberman left...
a really cool Simpsons picture. Basically, the BSG cast as Simpson characters, which is
really cool.
Hilarious.
And you know, Michael Shanley had a really interesting point of view on Lee in the episode, which, you know, he had
it's the one person that I feel like is kind of giving Lee credit because none of you really know.
And there's some significance to it.
Fair enough.
But our fan of the week is Wecker, because it was a very neat sort of 12-bar graph that he put together, ranking the Cylons based on their numbering system, from Cavil being the most machine-like.
Exactly, to the final one being the most human to a fault.
Yeah, and that one being Ty. So if you haven't checked it out, it's about 3/4 the way down the page. Check it out, it is very cool. And Wecker, you've got yourself a t-shirt, which is great.
Yes.
Hopefully you can sport it as well as Nat can. And on top of that...
You qualified for a really badass set of headphones, the Osmo 7s.
Yes, and an enormous grand prize. I cannot stress the enormity of this grand prize. But there you are. Enjoy. So, guys, I see there's already a ton of comments going on this week, and we're looking forward to reading next week.
You guys are so hilarious to keep up with.
It's great. Keeping up is a lot of fun. Starbuck.
Yeah.
All right, so she's losing it. Her crazy grin,
her itching tics, like she's like hasn't slept and is just...
Yeah, it's very neat to see that she's literally like losing it. And that she decided to take out a Viper for the first time in 2 months. Which begs the question, how do they get to those Vipers? They're kind of in space. They've got like a moonwalk they have to do to get out to them, hop in, like, it's just a little weird.
One of those things that are left unsaid, Matt.
Yeah, just don't show it. Like Kevin Grazier says, don't show it. You never have to talk about it.
Exactly.
Somehow it happens, which is nice.
This also begs the question, how the heck did that Raider dock to the ship?
Yeah, they don't, as far as we've seen, have tractor beams or grapple hooks. So this isn't Star Trek or Star Wars, but again, don't show it. Don't have to explain it. And it's there. So that's kind of neat. And there's only one Leoben on the ship. I wasn't expecting that.
Really?
I thought we would have at least a Leoben, an 8, and a 6.
You'd have one of each.
I thought we'd have one of each, but it seems like Leoben, the reason he wasn't in the previous episode on the bridge with everyone else is because he was saving his own ass by getting into a Raider and taking off. So there we have the answer to that. But
we saw a really cool interaction between Leoben and Anders, which the big question is, does he recognize him as a Final Four? Not recognize him as a Final Four?
You know, there were
it's
a lot
hard
of...
to say.
I'm leaning towards them having no idea, but there were a couple of kind of hazy comments. He said,
which they like always stick in.
I know,
it
there was,
me.
Is this all that we are? We as in us mortal coiled beings, or us Cylons? And then there was something else he said, or you've been waiting for your singular moment of clarity, as if he had something
to say.
As you
a spiritual
being or as a Cylon. So there's all these sort of amorphous things being said.
Who knows? But I did find it interesting. Anders threw a mean smackdown
at
Leoben when he thought Leoben was like with his girl.
Yeah, Leoben got some serious beatings. He got kicked with a boot to the teeth, and then Starbuck came in and laid another beating on the guy.
And the other interesting thing to bring up about Starbuck is that constantly throughout the episode and on the boards, everyone's like, she's changed. Like, it seems to be like a big thing.
And Leoben notices it. There's something different about her, which is kind of cool. I mean, she's crazy, which is definitely different. She was just angry before.
Leoben's the only one that I feel like really believes in her. Although Anders has that like undying love for her.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because we're at the point now where the only people really on her side are Leoben and Anders. And you know, it begs the question, is this like Stockholm Syndrome?
With regards to Leoben,
Yeah,
right?
why is she going along with Leoben? I'm
Like
sure the rest of the
loyalty to her
crew...
captor?
Yeah, the rest of the crew could just be like, well, you know, she might just be crazy. It could just be some more crazy.
I know, but I don't think Ronald D. Moore would give us that. I don't think he'd
but
just
you can see...
leave it to, oh, well,
You
she's
can see
insane.
where everyone else is coming from and why we now have mutineers on board. Okay, so... There's some loyalties being tested here, and Hilo's beat down.
That was the best Hilo moment ever.
Yeah, you know what? Hilo's had some great stuff happen to him.
And he's done some really noble things, but this was...
That was such a smackdown, and it had to beat a disposable guy.
Oh, yeah.
Poor disposable guy got the beating of his life.
No pity for that guy. No sympathy.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
I would have given him a smackdown if I could have.
For sure. Now, the thing that bugged me is right after Hilo tuned that guy, the next scene, he kind of switched sides.
Which makes me wonder. I mean, like, honestly, throughout the episode, the discussion seemed to be between Hilo
and Athena
defending Starbuck and Athena being the voice of discourse, I guess. I mean, she was one that was like, Starbuck is insane. Yeah. Why are you listening to her?
But the weird thing about her is she's Cylon.
Well, that's the thing. She's like the one Cylon on the human side, I feel like. Well,
she's valuable in that respect.
She is valuable. Like, you'd think she would interact with Leoben or find something out through
Be some kind of an emissary.
Exactly.
Like, they have.
Or with Starbuck, or Anders would have approached her to find out that whole Cylon thing.
Weird.
I mean, like,
she's
the
just
other
being
Final
another
Four
whiny
on
pilot.
the Galactica seem to have interacted with the
other
Cylons
Cylons
to kind of figure out a little bit more about themselves or discover something. I feel like this was like the moment for Anders to discover something, or this episode, and I guess he did a little bit.
Well, he beat around Leoben a bit, but I just think they're not using
there at his disposal.
They're not using Athena as a Cylon, which is really irritating. She's just another whiny pilot, and it's bugging me. Take advantage of it. Come on.
Exactly.
All right, so next week we seem to see Starbuck with the hybrid, which is cool because Leoben was talking about that, but hopefully that will bring to a close this Demetrius arc, and we can start to see everyone back together again, because this Demetrius thing is going on too long. That's just my opinion. But Baltar, on the other hand... Okay, so Baltar is now rocking the Hugh Hefner jacket, and he's got these bunnies around him doing the pirate broadcast love-in. It's hilarious. I'm really digging it. I love these
how is he getting onto the public airwaves? I don't even
It's a pirate broadcast, so he's just, like, breaking in, basically.
Why is Tyrell listening?
Why wouldn't Tyrell listen?
Love Baltar's voice?
Tyrell, wow. Who doesn't love James Callis' voice, honestly? But, it's funny. After what Tori said, specifically about how no one of consequence was joining his group...
Is that like when Tyrell walked in and Baltar's like...
Okay, Mr. Tyrell. But
your
at this
wife
point,
would have wanted this.
He's just a specialist. Does he even count?
Does he count
as significant?
as significance?
I don't know. That's going to be an interesting thing. Like, Adama really likes him, but is he significant? At this point, I don't know.
And then there's the question of the throat attacks. Everyone goes for Baltar's throat. Gaeta, the shaving blade that with the guys, and then the hanging. Baltar tried to hang himself. Now Tyrell grabbing with the throat.
Yeah. Poor guy keeps getting it to the throat.
I mean, these could just be convenient ways to kill someone.
Shut him up. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Does that actually count?
Yeah. And you know what? Baltar in this episode seemed more genuine to another human being than he ever has. When he was in that room with just him and Galen, Tyrell was great. All right, so next week. Well, we got what a lot of people on BSGcast.com were asking for, a two-parter. And
you guys don't seem to like episodes that resolve.
Yeah, you know what? This was one of those episodes where two big story arcs were happening, and so neither of them could really come to a resolution. And next week, we have Faith. But anyway, moving right into it, it looks like Starbuck gets to see a hybrid.
That's like the most insane part in that preview. Throughout this whole episode, no part really made me go, but then we watched the preview and the gasp happened.
Holy.
I just couldn't believe it that the hybrid
fully says it.
Her
exactly that. Yeah. Very, very cool. Now, we've also got what appears to be Anders shooting
Gaeta!
Yeah, if you take a good look at it, it looks like Gaeta gets shot.
Which is deeply
but hopefully it's like shot in the knees. It really looked like he was shot in the knees. So hopefully we have like some kind of crazy insurrection on board where this to be continued finishes up with Anders shooting people until they go see the Cylons, because it looks like
regardless they're definitely on the base.
Oh yeah, it looks good. So guys, we'll see you next week. More comments on the boards. It's awesome to see them. and hopefully you'll get it next week.